I'm Phil Crone. I'm the Executive Officer of the Dallas Builders Association, and we've got a esteemed panel, present company probably excluded, of local executive officers, and we're going to be able to kind of talk about some of the aspects of recruiting that hopefully you all can take back to your local. Just for a show of hands, how many folks are local HBA staff? How many of y'all are member volunteers? How many of y'all are something else? A few NHB. Okay, great. Just kind of getting an idea of what our audience is. I guess we'll just start down there with Dottie, and y'all can introduce yourselves on the panel.
Hi. I don't know if you can hear me or not. My name is Dottie Fawcett. I'm the Executive Vice President for the Home Builders Association of Bucks and Montgomery Counties in Pennsylvania. We're located just outside of Philadelphia, and I'm a staff of one. And I will be starting my I'm just starting my fourth year as an executive officer.
Hello, Scott Merritt, Executive Officer for the Greater Orlando Builders Association in Florida. I will be celebrating 4 years this March and have a staff of 6 employees.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Gladys Maroney, CEO for the Building Industry Association of Hawaii. I just completed my first year in my position, and so if you all need to come out to Hawaii, I'd be happy to host.
Are you going to pay for the airfare? Oh.
Motion to adjourn.
Alicia Benson, can you hear me? Alicia Benson, I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. I have been in the job for a little over a year, and we have about 250 members right now, and a staff of 7. That's not on. I didn't think it was.
Try to press that button.
I'm Chris Doran, the Executive Officer of the Home Builders and Remodelers Association on Cape Cod, a staff of 1. We hover around 270 members, and that's fun.
All right, we'll get that mic worked out. So we've got a number of questions on here that are on our script, and since we have a really huge crowd in here, we'll try to, if we have some time at the end, maybe answer some questions from the audience, but I'm just going to kind of facilitate this if we go. Unless you have something that just really, really can't wait and it's on the top of your mind, we'll wait till the end for some of the Q&A. But anyway, we're going to, I guess, start from cradle to grave as far as recruitment efforts and marketing efforts, all the way back to retention efforts and come full circle on membership. So at the top here, and we'll start down here with Dottie, where do your leads come from? You know, do you use external sources such as permit lists or WMS, perhaps IBS registrants, or maybe some other form such as just word of mouth through your members or whatever?
Our biggest recruiting method is through word of mouth from our members. That would be the lead. Occasionally, we do get leads from WMS, from the national site. They'll come in and submit a lead, and I'll submit it to my membership committee. And our website, we just redesigned our website to be user-friendly, and so anytime anybody has a question, I immediately send them to the website to get that information.
Scott?
Thank you, Phil. I'm glad you asked. All right, so there hasn't been a perfect solution necessarily for us. Like many of us, we do empower our members. We empower our board. We would like to require our board to at least bring in 2 new members a year. So that at least kickstarts the year, which would be approximately about 60 new members for us. On an average year, we've been able to generate about 200 to 250. One of the things that we're focusing on this year is education. In the state of Florida, you have to have a contractor's license, obviously, to do business through the DBPR. We want to reach the individual, the business owner, before they are a contractor, meaning we would like to provide education to become a contractor. What does it take? What does it look like? What are your requirements? What's the necessary evils that you have to have in order to acquire it? That way, we believe that they won't come to us 10 years down the road once they're already in business and been successful and saying, well, I've been doing this for 10 years. Why do I need you? They already have a reason. And so if we can get to them in the forefront, that's our goal. Second to that is we do track newly licensed list from the DBPR. And then, much like what you said, is the IBS registrations for non-members. We use it religiously. We do hammer it home quite often. Fortunately for us, and we're excited to host everyone in Orlando next year. But we hope that having it back in Florida, obviously it will give a larger effect to that non-member list. So that's kind of been our success, if you will.
Historically, the way we recruit our members is really peer-to-peer. Our contractors urge their subs to become members of BIA. We have builders that will not engage with a non-BIA member. Not many of them, but we do have longstanding members that make that a priority for them. And so it's just whoever, if we have a member that has a financial planner, they say we're all ambassadors in our association in trying to recruit members, and everywhere we go, we're talking about the benefits of being a member of BIA Hawaii. So by the time they get an application, they already know what we're about, and it's just a matter of filling out that application and going through the approval process. We have a lot of non-members that sign up for our education classes, and we maintain a list of those non-members, and we haven't really been active as far as pursuing those leads, but we are looking to expand and do something with those lists of non-members.
Just on the Dallas side, a lot of me toos to what you all already said. One of the things that I would add is I spend a lot of my time with our staff trying to recruit on the builder side of things, because for one, it's really easy to track. You can see who pulled a permit. For two, the more builders you bring in, the more associates they know, and it's a really virtuous circle once you come from there. And we rely a lot on our builders to generate the, and I'll maybe address this a little bit more in depth in our next question. We have a lot of builders that are able to bring in associate prospects to us just by virtue of the folks that they do business with. But one thing that's been really interesting in our market, trying to see, how many builders are involved and members of the association versus how many are out there pulling a permit. And I tell our staff to look at everyone that's pulled 2 or more permits, because sometimes you have just one-off things that people do for themselves. But it's a much smaller list than it used to be, say 10 years ago. We've had a lot of consolidation in our market, both on the builder and the supplier side. So you have fewer people building a lot more. We have one of the most active markets in the country, but one of the interesting stats that I bring up in a lot of the meetings is that the top 30 builders in our market 10 years ago built 59%, they accounted for 59% of all the housing starts. Now they account for almost 80% of the housing starts in the Dallas area. So we go through this frustration of, your market's growing by 10%, you're pulling 10% more permits, why isn't your membership going up commensurate with that? Well, there are just fewer people doing more, so that's one of the challenges we're facing. I know that's the same in a lot of y'all's markets, even if you don't have the national builders that are active there.
Okay, one thing that we do, I noticed that Blake had set this brochure out. I don't know if y'all saw it, it opens up. But this is a really cool tool. If you'll get your builders to look at it and just list the different contractors they have, and then we will take it back to the office and pull it up and see if they're members or not. Then take it back to the builders and tell them these are members and these are not. And it's amazing how quickly that will help you grow your membership. The thing is getting them to slow down to fill out the list. Sometimes you have to do it over the phone for them, but it works and it's well worth your time to do it. We also do word of mouth and permits. And then we're about to start a campaign for the affiliates, because we're like, Phil, we've got some larger builders, and there's really no reason for all of their team to not come and get active and help us grow our association.
Okay, is this working now? Yes, okay, great. So again, I said a staff of 1. We do not have a membership committee. We sort of have an ad hoc committee, which is our board. And one of the things I found that is very successful, and I can say I can see it now, I can compare. We just installed a new president in June, and he starts every board meeting with membership. We have monthly membership meetings, and we start all of our remarks with membership. And I have found where in the past that didn't happen, that is making a real significant effect in not only other board members being held accountable. They sign an agreement every year to bring in X amount of new members, and our monthly board meetings is one way to keep them accountable, and it's beginning to work really well. So I'm fortunate to have a president who sees that and operates that way. It wasn't always the case, so I just put that out there. I would also say word of mouth, huge. But one of the things that works very well for us is our events and our PR. When our members can bring guests to a Builders Blitz, when our members can bring guests to a membership meeting or to a bowling tournament, we have the leg up. When I guess what happens is that they'll see the press, they'll see people excited, they'll see that we're in the community doing things, and it generates some sort of excitement for them and feeling like I want to be part of that association. So I do find a lot of members just sort of coming in, and when I ask them why, it's because they were at an event or they knew someone who were, and it was really great. So I find that that works extremely well. And I think the other thing that we're just starting right now, as I said, we have monthly membership meetings. We open it up to our members and to guests. But in February, we have the Department of Public Safety Commissioner who oversees, we have a building code in Massachusetts, and he oversees the building code, and it's beginning to change, going into the 9th edition. He's coming to speak, and I decided, let's just make it a completely members only, no guests. And what is happening is I have members saying, I want to bring my architect. And I said, well, I think you better get him to join. And it's sort of a revert. It's working because they're realizing, yeah, you know what? We have access to this kind of information and these kinds of people. It really is a members organization. So every now and then, now I think it's going to be completely and totally members only, because I'm beginning to see our members thinking like, hey, yeah, I'm a member. Maybe you should be too, because look at what you get. So.
All right, great. Okay, so our next question, I'm going to start with you, Scott, so brace yourself and start thinking about this. But a little bit of a spin on the first question that we asked, and if you don't really have a lot going on, it's fine to say no, not really, and we can keep going down the list. But do you have a specific campaign or program for leads? In other words, things like a prospect drive. Do you, when you get those leads, how do you share them with folks perhaps on your membership committee, and then how do you track some of the contact that's made and the follow-up, and just be able to make sure that your volunteers are engaged in a way that they're touching all those prospects and you're getting the follow-up that you need, and also you're generating additional leads so they can kind of keep continuing that task? You kind of already touched on it, as well as Alicia, in that what we do is we call it a Pinnacle Builder program. We ask our builder members to submit to us their subcontractor list, the trade partners that they do business with. We go through it for them, identify who is a member, who's not a member. From that, we recognize those companies throughout the year. We incentivize them by doing special events and so forth. The power is certainly in the builder in terms of recruiting, and much of the time they do not understand what kind of power that's like, and so forth. So that's really been a success story for us in generating leads. Other than that, I mean, it is word of mouth and empowering our members.
We did a little campaign thing called Pledge, Spin, and Win. And what it is, it's a Wheel of Fortune type thing, and we take it to all our events. We partner on certain events with, say, the local chapter of the NKBA, with the architects, and we bring this wheel, and whoever, mostly our members will say, okay, I'll pledge to bring in 2 members, or I'll pledge to bring in 1 member. And they'll spin the wheel, they'll have a little prize, and then we hold them accountable for their pledge. Last year, it was our first year. To be quite honest, out of about 40 pledges, we probably got 3 new members. So we're trying to try something new this year. But it's something like that we tried something catchy. We'll bring it to every single of our events and encourage people to get involved and try to help us with new members.
Kind of alluded to it a little bit, but our state association here recently launched a campaign called the RPM Cup, and RPM stands for Relationships Powered by Members. And really, it is geared towards recruiting associate members. So what we would do is we have builders fill out a worksheet of list the folks who you do $5,000 or more in business with. So these are people that you're doing an awful lot of business with and you're quite engaged with. And if they're not members, quite frankly, they should be members, because again, this kind of feeds the whole let's do business with the member type of thing. So it went over really well with existing associate members. So they filled out this template, and we just had our staff go and label, these folks are a member, these people aren't a member, and let's say 80% of the people on the list that the builder did business with were members currently. They needed to go out and recruit that 20%. And we had a template letter that was really well queued up for them. They just had to fill in the blanks on that form letter, and it was essentially saying that, here's an association that provides an awful lot for me. It's keeping our industry really free of regulatory burdens, and the association's provided an awful lot for me. I think that allows me to provide for you. So with this, and a lot of times it was really good to send it with the check that the builder was sending to that associate or potential associate to say, this check is coming in large part because of what the association was able to do for you. So I'm asking you in return to give a small part of this back in the form of membership dues to allow me to continue to do business with you and in this industry. So it worked out really well. It was a bit difficult sometimes to get builders to stop down and be able to fill out that form, but the ones that did, it was really insightful, because sometimes they thought somebody was a member, but they really weren't a member, and it was just a matter of picking up the call and saying, hey, you need to do this, and it's a very efficient and a very effective way to generate new associate members. So we're also able to get a lot of leads off of that if they weren't able to join right away, we're able to add them to our list, and hopefully down the road they're going to be a part of the association.
We've put a lot of pressure on our board members and kind of just told them as leaders that they need to really kind of step up and help us grow the membership. So there's several different campaigns that we've done with the board. We will do, we've made a big poster board with all their names, and they get stars every time they bring a member in. And then every time they get a star, their name gets put in for a drawing, and it'll be an iPad, or we'll probably have to move on to the watches now or something, but we'll just do whatever's the popular trinket at that time. We also do most wanted. If there's somebody that we really, really want, we'll do a most wanted board, and that on top of getting your star and getting put in for the drawing, you get either $200 cash or a gift card or something really special for getting one of our most wanted, and that seems to kind of have a little fun to it. And they really don't like their name without a star on it when the competition starts getting rough. They're a little competitive, so that works.
Generating leads, as I had talked about before, it is our board members. I haven't yet infiltrated our general membership to buy in, so I just started. Our fiscal year ends in June, the 6th month, so we just announced our 2x6 campaign. If you're a member and you bring in 2 people by the 6th month, I haven't yet figured out what the prize is yet, so I'll have to talk to you. But we do announce it at every meeting, and I'm hoping that over the months it's going to generate some peer competition. I think it already is. Leads for us come from, as I said, events. We have a building code, and our builders in the state of Massachusetts have to have a builder's license that's renewed every 2 years. And the state has been very aggressive in getting builders' emails, and that's public record. So I get a list, I can get it anytime I want, of all of the what are called the construction supervisor license holders in my area. And so I use that list a couple of times a year just to send out emails or a postcard. We do get some, not a lot, but I just look at it as a real constant drumbeat that it makes a difference. I also track the permits, and I have a permit list. I haven't yet explored that yet or figured out how I want to reach out to them. So leads come from all sorts of different places, but I would have to say mostly our board, events, education, and the CSL list.
So the emails of your licensed builders are public record?
Yes.
I thought your spam folder was bad. Dottie?
Hi. We actually changed our thinking this year. We had a new membership chair in 2015, and his goal was that we were going after quality members and not quantity of members. The previous leadership had gone after quantity. They did a lot of drives, brought in a lot of members by using the builders list, and of course the builders were all pressuring all of their people to do business with them. And what we found out after 2014 is that we were losing those members because the builder was no longer doing business with them, or they had changed companies. And so we had a big fallout of our membership that we had gained in 2014. So the membership committee decided they were going to try something totally different. They went with the pledge that we're going after quality. There's 14 members on the membership committee, and I have big posters on the wall, and they decide what their goal is for the year. Their goal was 75 new members in 2015, and I numbered it down 1, 2, 3, all the way to 25, and then I would change the sheet up and it would stay on the wall. But it would have the name of the member, what category they were, builder or associate, and who had recruited them. And so that membership committee meets monthly, and they sit down and they go through the list of prospects who they want as new members, and they really hone it down as to who they think are going to stay active in the association. They also charge the board members with bringing on 2 new members for the year, and we have an attendance sheet that gets put in every board packet, and one of the columns that we added was a column that said how many new members they brought in, because peer pressure works really well. Most of my members have pretty big egos, and so by coming in and seeing that where they are on that list as far as how many new members, and looking at that board packet sitting around the table, and my membership chair would stand up at a boarding meeting and, literally point and say, "You brought me nothing." So there's a little bit of peer pressure. So we have 21 board members, and we figured that, that would get us at least 48 new members, which would get us halfway to our goal. We were fortunate with the change in that strategy of our members bringing in new members, whether it be bringing a prospective member to an event for free, and they could do that twice. And if they came twice and they didn't join, they weren't allowed to attend any other of our events. But that worked really, really well, and peer pressure seems to be the point, and we ended up the year with just that list focus of bringing in 112 new members in 2015.
I'm glad you brought that up, Dottie, because I think that's this whole quantity versus quality type of thing is something we maybe need to talk about a little further in our discussion when it comes to membership drives, because you don't know whether your membership drive is effective until 13 months after it's over, and who's been able to stay on and be recruited and retained. So that's something I want to dive into a little bit more down the road. But right now I want to talk a little bit about recruitment incentives for staff, for Spikes, for your member volunteers, and what do you do to incentivize your membership recruiters? What do you do to incentivize, if you have the luxury of having one, your staff for being able to recruit new members? Is it a membership director? Is it kind of an all hands on deck thing with staff? And then maybe touch on what kind of recruitment materials and plans and things that you have there as far as collateral goes. And I'll start with you, Gladys.
Okay, thank you. Connected to the previous Pledge Spin and Win campaign that I talked about earlier, the person that earned the most points, the plan was to get them to IBS on an all expense paid trip. Unfortunately, no one earned enough to get here, but that was something that was an incentive and a way to get more of our members involved in coming out to IBS. I do have a membership coordinator and staff. We're constantly recruiting, constantly talking about our BIA, but what I'm looking to do with that position is to really give her the incentive possibly in some form of a commission addition to her base salary, going out and getting members that we wouldn't necessarily meet in the course of business. So more of the associate type members. And so that's still kind of in the works. And so hopefully I'll get to implement that sometime this year. But we do constantly update our marketing materials. We create, just to kind of talk about, why you should be a member. And we list them all. We create stuff like this, and then we create smaller ones you can put in your pocket or in your trifold, easily to carry around and take with you. And just make sure that everybody has that 30-second elevator pitch message when they meet someone, so that if the message, everyone's on the same message, and we can just spill it off like that and just be quick about it. So I think that's it. Is that all you were asking, Phil? Okay.
Yeah, I think if you're worried about materials and you're worried about collateral, talk to your NHB staff and talk to your field rep, because there are a plethora of materials out there that are easily customizable to your local association, and essentially all you have to do is drop in your association's name and a logo. So if you don't have the graphic art capabilities that you'd like to have, they've done a lot of that work for you. So the question comes down to, how do you leverage that, and how are you able to get that membership advantage message out there? And for us, it comes down to a lot of our work is done by our membership director in Dallas. I'm fortunate enough to have 9 staff members, and our membership director primarily, she is out there. She gets a base salary with a commission, and her commission is based on our net membership gain. So there's a retention component to it, as well as a recruitment component. So if we finish +1, +2, +3, or whatever for the month, she'll get paid for that net gain. If we give those 3 back next month, obviously she's not going to get paid. If she recruits 3 more the following month, she's not getting paid for that either, because we lost 3, got 3 back. She's back to kind of square one on this. So it's an interesting little matrix that I was able to draw up, but it reflects the fact that for us, retention is just as important as recruitment. And she gets credit for the ones that she calls, as well as the ones that she helps motivate her member volunteers to recruit. And another thing that we throw in, just to sweeten the deal, we don't send our members to IBS as a reward, but we do, if they recruit 10 members, we do give them an opportunity to go on a membership trip, and next month we have that coming up in the Bahamas. So we have a couple of sponsors that are able to pitch in and make that happen. And if you recruit 10 members, then we just recently added, you have to have a 50% retention component on there, because we had some issues where people were notorious for promising things that they couldn't deliver, or just not recruiting in the way that we really needed them to recruit for the long term. So we added that retention component in there just to make sure that the people they're bringing on kind of address that quality versus quantity discussion that we had before. But that's a pretty good incentive. And then we have some smaller quarterly ones when it comes to, I think it's either 3 or 4 members, depending on what we're doing. They'll go to a Texas Rangers game or a Dallas Mavericks game, or we'll give them a gift card to go out to eat on their own time, and things like that build camaraderie and also give them a more here and now incentive instead of a year-long thing that culminates in a trip.
Wow, I'm not sure I want to talk after that one. That's some pretty good ideas. Our membership person retired, and so we have a new person, but she is really working hard to figure out, what we want to do. And so our membership committee only met a few times a year, and we've already kind of kicked that up. We're going to meet every month. We're going to have a campaign every other month. We're going to focus on affiliates one time, associates the next, and then builders. So we're still developing our campaign right now for this year. The last couple years it's just been a little weak for us. So that's kind of our emphasis. So I don't really have a lot to share on that one. Sorry.
Yeah, just a couple of things. One thing I did want to point out is, especially being a staff of 1, I recently noticed our numbers dipped a little bit, which it hasn't. It's just been a steady upward trend. And I had to look and see why. I was so incredible. I was distracted. I was distracted with several big events. We had our 65th anniversary. We switched to a new software. I had started at another big event, Residential Construction Career Day, and a couple of other things. So much of my time was spent on that. I could see after a few months, people were not renewing. And not so much that they weren't going to renew, it's just this constant, oh, I forgot. But I had taken my foot off the gas for other things, and I immediately saw an issue. So it's really hard. It takes a lot of time, but it takes more time to get them back. So that was a real in-my-face lesson for me. As far as staff is concerned, I have a membership director, I have a government affairs director, I have a PR director, I have an EO, I have an event coordinator and a bookkeeper, and what's really weird is she has the same name, Chris Duran. And so how I reward her is I really like red wine. So I belong to a Wine of the Month club, and it makes me feel really happy at the end of the day. So, yeah, it's accountability. Like I said, one big thing also is the president of our association, and he holds all of our board members accountable each month. We'll work on general membership in a while, so I'll get that membership director right on that.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because I'm a staff of one as well, and my favorite to go is red wine, so we're on the same team. We actually did a couple of different strategies this year. Last year we did what's called the Last Will and Testament, and so what I do is I have a form that's called Last Will and Testament, and I mail it out with the invoices that are past due, and it basically says that that you're relinquishing your membership and that you are officially signing over all of your leads and business to all the members of the association, and at the bottom of it they have a right to refuse that and to agree to renew their membership. And you'd be surprised, I put it on colored paper, I mail it out, and they renew. They get that last will and testament, and maybe I make them laugh, maybe just because it's something different, but it's been very successful marketing piece to try and get the people who are lapsing to think about, yeah, I am giving up business if I walk away from this, and maybe I should renew. We also do a rewards program, so I do a wanted poster. I put out a bi-monthly publication, and I open it up to all the members of the association, and we target builders in that list, and we put a wanted list of specific builders that we're looking for, and we offer a bounty for those builders. So whoever brings them in gets the cash, and it's all about cash. And so each member of the association, and this year was fortunate, I only put 5 builders on the list. We brought in 2, and they were both brought in by their architects. Who thought they should be a member of the association. So the other thing that we started doing is we have a quarterly happy hour run by our membership committee, and their goal is that the membership chair challenges each of the committee members to bring 2 prospective members to that happy hour. They also invite the executive board to come to that event, so they are faced with 5 strong builders. They know that they can face-to-face meet these people. They're in an informal environment, and they get to talk to these builders and members of the association to find out what the value of the association is. And that's been working really well for us. We actually sign up at least 3 new members from each quarterly happy hour.
Anyone in here from Florida? Okay, I can speak openly. With that, I don't have a perfect solution. I have tried the incentives. I've tried the cash. I've tried the dinners out. I've tried the bass fishing tournaments and so forth. We haven't figured out exactly what that carrot is. But with that, we have figured out that everyone likes to hear their name called. So simple recognition has worked well for us. As much as we thought that other things would take the bait, just that simple recognition. And then I'm just going to start traveling with Phil, I guess. So, thank you.
All right, I appreciate that. I can tell you what, the the single office or the single person staffs and EOs, I've got all the respect in the world for them, because if I was in that position, I think my Alcoholics Anonymous intervention would come a lot sooner than theirs will. But it's tough for everybody. But I can't imagine just being a one-man shop trying to do all that you do. So a lot of appreciation. Certainly understand the need for the wine there. I'm going to combine the next two questions. Are kind of dealing with sort of related things, marketing the association as well as membership drives. And on the membership drive side, if you've got a good example of a successful one that has really advanced your membership and your association, talk about that, but also talk about what channels do you use as far as mail, social media, et cetera, to market your association, and then what's failed, what's succeeded, and what hasn't in that regard as far as marketing and your membership drives aimed at growing the association. And I guess it's my turn to take a shot at that. And I've gotten, quite frankly, a little bit jaded on the good old-fashioned membership drives that we've come accustomed to, where you get everybody in for a day or two, or maybe it's a week long, or maybe it's a month long, and you just get a cattle call through your prospect list, and you feel really, really good. At least this has happened in our case, where you bring in a lot of new members, and you see your association grow, and you're really excited about that. And then you get throughout the year, and this comes to engagement, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but you get a year later to retention time, and yeah, you've tried to reach these people, you've tried to engage them, you've tried to get them to show up to stuff, but you know that some are better than others, and you've got a real retention problem on your hands at the end of the year, and then you're not feeling so good about that membership drive that you had a year ago. For a lot of you, the solution to that is just to have another membership drive and try to keep chasing our tail there. For us, that's why I talked about the incentives, kind of the quarterly things that we do, because I want this thing to be a year-round type of deal instead of just show up and get everybody in the room and try to call, because I want to, quite frankly, go for that quality over the quantity. Go for folks that I know are not only going to continue on as members, but perhaps are going to get involved and be really good volunteers in and of themselves. And that's one of the ways we try to further that as far as marketing goes is we have a Facebook ad that's running. Facebook ads are really easy to set up. It's really good no matter how big or small your budget is. You're able to tune that into the audience that you want, what people are interested in, what location they're in, and what duration you want this to run. And you get really good analytics as far as how many people have seen that ad, how many people have interacted in it, and it really is well scripted. So we have one that runs just about every other month, and we only spend probably about $1,000 a year on it, but it's out there. I know people see it, and I know people click on it. That's an easy way to do it. We did try a little foray last year into the digital billboards that you see in a lot of places scrolling on the side of the road. That was actually really effective in driving up our website traffic. It also corresponded with a membership drive that we were doing that month, so I don't know if it's a chicken or the egg thing, but we brought in a lot of members that month. I don't know if it was because of the billboard or because of just the ongoing drive, but I did see our website traffic go up by 50% from the analytics that we had. We did get a lot more calls. I did get a lot more calls from people wanting to sell more billboards to me, so I know people were seeing it out there, and those folks are pretty aggressive when they see you out there. So I knew somebody was reading it. Emails, not very effective. You get too many of those as it is, especially Chris's members, it sounds like, are going to get a lot of them since the state requires you to share them. But you've got to find a new and novel way to reach people, and email is just it's become an overload, I think, for me. I've heard that from a lot of you, and we just haven't seen a whole lot of returns as easy as it is to set that up. But one of the other failures, and I alluded to it earlier, is folks are, especially the associate members, they come in and they've talked to a builder and they've been promised the moon. They've been promised that, you're going to get my business, you're going to get other people's business, this thing's going to pay for itself, and they don't always have those expectations met. So one of the failures that we've had in the past is we had 2 or 3 builders who would recruit that way, and we knew that those associates they brought in were going to be a challenge. So we set up an associates panel, and it was governed by and facilitated by a lot of really seasoned associate members that had used the association successfully, because 90% of the new associates are coming in there to make money off the association. That's just what they're there for. But being able to show up with your briefcase and throw it up in front of one of the builders and show them your product is not going to be the way to do it. And what we're trying to get them to understand is, here's what you need to do, here are the meetings you need to go to, and here's how you need to go about establishing a personal relationship and a friendship with some of the builders that are here, because with that's going to come the trust that's going to allow that builder to do business. And once that builder does business, there are going to be more that are going to trust you, and therein lies the success that a lot of these associates have had. And they're able to share those experiences with the new associates that come in, temper the expectations, and also have a peer-to-peer type of thing where they're able to go to the meetings, have somebody to introduce them, and kind of share some intelligence as far as what builders need, different things. So that's been really successful to kind of hedge our bet against folks that are brought in maybe for reasons that wouldn't otherwise allow them to continue as a long-term member.
We actually have hired an advertising company this year to help us with our marketing. We're hoping that that's going to help us. We typically use our Parade of Homes event and our Fall Home Tour event and our expo to target the outside people, to try to get them to, draw them to our website and to learn about our membership. So we're hoping that through those three events, we're also partnering with Southern Living this year with our expo and our ideal home that we're building. And so we're hoping that that's going to reach out a whole new market that we haven't been able to grasp. Twice a year we have them come in and we just give them special attention. We tell them all about the association. We go through a PowerPoint and try to figure out what they like, what they don't like, what they need, and then we sit down with them and talk about how we can get them engaged.
I have a list, so I'm going to go through it as quickly as I can. If you have any questions, I think you know how to reach me, hopefully. One of the best marketing things that we do, and members do come from this, is I have been part of and joined and created partnerships and affiliations that we hadn't had before. So the Cape... Bless you. Cape Cod Young Professionals, the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce, the Cape Cod Realtors, the Cape Cod Community College, the Cape Cod, I'm pushing Cape Cod, the Landscaping Association. A group of us meet every 2 weeks. The Cape Cod Commission, which is our regulatory group, we meet, I'll meet with them. Being out there, being seen, makes a huge difference. It takes a lot of time, but it's that word of mouth where a commissioner might say, hey, you should talk to Chris. I'm fortunate in that I live on a very small little sandbar, so it's easier to get to know who the players are, who the big fish. Literally this morning I had our daily newspaper, radio station, and one of the weeklies call me on 3 different subjects. So however you can infiltrate all of those various other partnerships and affiliations and the press in your market, it's huge, and it's free press. I do all the social media. Have a blog. We publish a magazine twice a year called At Home on Cape Cod. I don't know what else we'd call it, At Home Texas? No, we call it At Home on Cape Cod. It's a high-end glossy magazine, and only members can advertise. And it's a big marketing and branding tool for us. So a lot of people see that magazine. It goes on the newsstands. We mail it. So that is a great marketing way. People want to be in the magazine, so that helps. We do radio ads. Fortunately, one of our bigger radio stations, they have this once-a-year program. They really reduced their prices, so I signed up for it, but I also got 3 of my members to sign up and help defray the cost. The only caveat being is it's a 30-second spot. They have to take the first few seconds saying, hi, I'm Phil Crone of the, Bob the Builder, and I'm a proud member of the Home Builders and Remodelers Association of Cape Cod. They do their spiel, and they have to end it by saying, if you'd like to learn more about my company or other professionals, please visit capecodbuilders.org. that has produced tremendous buzz. I hear it all the time. And the last thing I'll say is we also created our own little mascot, our spokesperson. I couldn't figure out, nobody knew what our logo was, nobody knew, out there, I don't want to say nobody, but it wasn't like the Nike swoosh, it was not recognizable. So we came up with Herbie the home builder, and he's a mascot, and I use him on our blog, in our magazine, Tips and Trends, and we used it at our residential construction career day with a bunch of high school students. They were taking pictures, they were tweeting. So Herbie's getting a lot more play, but good play, and that has been a great marketing tool for us. And let's see, several other things, but that's it.
We have about 5 minutes left, so I wanted, for the three of y'all that I still want to have, kind of address the marketing efforts. If you want to throw in something about retention as it relates to marketing, or just some sort of insight that you have on engagement and retention, that was going to be our last question that we won't have time to get to, so off the cuff, if y'all want to address that as well in the last 5 minutes, that'd be awesome.
A dual thing is I actually have a secret little weapon. It's called the Professional Women in Building. If you don't have a council, they are my little secret weapon in the fact that they are their own little council, and they have to recruit as well to make their numbers. This year we did a little doghouse, and you have all the members are in the doghouse, and they can't get out till they bring in a new member, and that new member has to be an affiliate, so it doubles growing their council and our membership at the same time. When I'm talking about retention, there's a couple good things that we do is we put new member ribbons on every new member's name badge at every event. We do it for the whole 12 months, the whole year that they're a new member. They wear that blue ribbon on their name badge. And the membership committee are charged as mentors, and every new member that's brought on board, they're responsible for that new member for 6 months, and their job is to introduce them to as many builders and other members as they can at each meeting, and they're identified by that blue ribbon, and that's been huge in the retention. They are getting personal introduction guaranteed by the membership committee. And lastly, I provide a list to all of my executive board of people who are lapsing, and they personally call every one of those members 60 days prior before their dues are lapsing and thank them for being a member and hoping that they'll continue the membership, and ask what we can do better or what we didn't do that would have helped them.
We use all of the major social media applications. Parade of Homes is our largest public outreach by and large. And just like Phil mentioned, we do a lot of advertising through it. On Facebook, we've generated about 7,500 followers and so forth. So that's been really successful for us, as well as the other media outlets. Internally, we do similar, not PWB, but we do have a young professionals group, and that we have found much success in having at a third-party location where sponsors cover the drink tab and so forth. So that's been very good in terms of getting the younger group out, but also getting people that we are not familiar with, people that we don't see regularly. And then thirdly is we do offer in August a Meet the Builder program, a reverse trade show that has been, bar none, one of the best membership retention programs for us, and one that the builders have started coming to us asking when the next one is. So it's been very positive, and I wish you all good luck.
In 2014, our membership chair is the VP of Sales and Marketing for a builder. He and his team and committee members created the 4 R's, which was recruitment, retention, relationship, and recognition. And so that really focused the committee on what the goals were for the year. Similar to what Dottie was mentioning, the membership committee meetings became working meetings. Half an hour was on business. The second half was making calls. They would call to thank members that just renewed, and that's it. And those members were just super excited to get the call and not have to pay any more money or invest any more time. It's just, thank you for renewing, we appreciate you, and this is our next event coming up, so please come and join us. They would call leads, and so part of the whole thing is really about relationships and reaching out and that touch with our members. And And so it resulted in a really high retention rate, and we had gone from the 70s to an 86% retention rate in a year. So it was really successful, and we're continuing to do that.
I'm not going to have any time for questions, but I know I'll stick around for a little bit after this seminar, and hope the rest of y'all can as well. I realized one of the standing rules in this job is you don't get between members and the bar or any kind of food or drink, but I don't want to get in between many of the folks in this room and a lot of the big checks that I see propped up in the corner that are a product of your really well-deserved and well-earned effort. So with that, appreciate you all weighing in on this, you all listening to us, and I think I'm going to turn it over to NHB staff to take this thing home and do some of the presentations.